Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Gosh, can you believe it? We are on the last section of our part four, focusing on risk. And then, my friends, we have one more section to go in our one more chapter, right? Unit, and then we will have completed this. So I hope that during this time together, you've been able to really dig deep into some reflective thinking and look at yourself as an educator, perhaps in any other sectors, as a parent, as a friend, as a colleague. Gosh, all the different sectors that this book can seriously impact. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and dig into the last two sections. We're going to look at chapter 28, which is the last chapter, and then the author always has some final thoughts. So, let's take a look. All right, let's dig into our slides. All right, my friends. So, hopefully, you have your book handy with you. And we are going to, again, just a quick review. We're finding happiness through engagement and meaningful alliances while taking focused risks using intelligent thought and wisdom. So, my friends, all of these together interacting creates our heart print, and our heart print matters. If you have your personal journal handy, go ahead and grab that. And we're focusing on risk today. Our essential question, we're going to wrap it up today. Are you a person of vision focused risk taking for sustainable change with a growth and data driven mindset for learning and life? And as you know, we are going to explore that risk and risk taking play in our pursuit of a fully formed and reflective professional life, a life that results in meaningful and sustainable change that demonstrates and impacts on student learning. All right, my friends, let's dig. So, warning, beep, 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 right? Entropy ahead. Entropy ahead. The author has a quote here that starts us off. Just as a constant increase of entropy is a basic law of the universe, it is it is the basic law of life to become even more highly structured and to struggle against entropy. All right, my friends. So, this is part four, and we might be thinking, what is entropy? So, and I had to look this one up because it wasn't a part of my vocabulary before. But the Merriam Webster Dictionary says three things: entropy, chaos, disorganization, and randomness. And my friends, if we want to ensure that our students are not experience entropy, then we need to make certain that we are providing an environment that is conducive to learning, right? Whether you are in a classroom or whether you are a leader with the school, because we want to avoid that entropy, chaos, disorganization, and randomness. Now, there are not good words if you have chosen our profession, right? These are not good words. But risk, R is for risk. It has been about understanding how our professional life should be dedicated to leaving a heart print that fights against entropy. Entropy should be your biggest fear as an educator. So, the ideas that are presented in the 6 previous chapters have been designed to nourish your risk taking heartprint and prevent the drift into chaotic and random professional behavior. Stop risk taking and you stop becoming. Entropy sets in. You leave your unrealized potential at the door. All right, I have a star beside this. Your greatest concern as a teacher of others, students, or colleagues should be the fear of no longer being relevant, the fear of not being able to sustain meaningful change in your work, the fear that your voice no longer matters, and ultimately, the fear that you are regressing as others around you continue to move forward. So I want you to remember that essential heartprint question from part four, right? What is that? Are you a person of vision focused risk taking for sustainable change with a growth and data driven mindset for learning and life? Remember, that's the question that's guiding us. Now, are we dedicated to avoiding entropy in our work life? And since everything has a tendency to deteriorate, what are signs of entropy settling into our work world? I take that question further. What are signs of entropy settling into your family life, into perhaps your marriage, into other areas of your life? Status quo, right? Not working it. What are the signs that we may have let go of the reflect, refine, and act risk taking cycle of our work life? So these are some serious questions that we need to be thinking about. The author had a question, right, and was wanted to really look at his organization because he was a superintendent at this time, and so he reached out to his friend Rick DeFore, right, and Rick DeFore shared some strategies. He actually wrote him a letter and shared these 5 strategies to fight entropy, because our author did not want entropy to be setting into the organization that is functioning at a high level. So the author says that one of the surest signs of entropy in a school that has implemented the PLC process is a growing sense that the school has arrived, quote unquote, and thus can begin to take shortcuts on the process that was instrumental to the school's improvement. My friends, anytime you take shortcuts, right, on that process that has been proven to work, there's going to be some challenges. So instead of the constant pursuit of the question, what is the best we can be, we settle for being, quote, the good enough, end quote, school that is content with being as good as we need to be. We want to coast for a while because a commitment to continuous improvement is relentless and we feel we need a break. So, my friends, here are the 5 strategies that Rick DeForest has shared to fight entropy. One is to establish a few stretch goals that could not be accomplished in the short term and thus require a long term commitment. For example, we said that we wanted to eliminate failure in every single course. So, what are we doing to ensure that failure is eliminated? The next point is each content team is asked to establish an annual SMART goal to help more of their students achieve at higher levels than the year before. Remember, we hold those high expectations, we hold that bar high, we do not bring that bar down because we know that every single student is able to reach that bar. So, what are we doing to continue working on that? The third one is seek school-wide professional awards. Now, in the example here, the school Stevenson, they actually achieved blue ribbon status from the United States Department of Education, not only once, but they also received it 4 more times, okay? And with each time that they received the award, their goal, they had to set a stretch goal because they had to go above and beyond that current award status and go even higher. So they continued to work on that. Now, maybe a blue ribbon school is not something that you are interested in. Maybe personally, professionally, you want to continue working on something that you can seek. So for me, what I wanted to do was to become a national board certified teacher. I knew back in 2000, what are we in, 2003 is when that 2002-3 is when that highly qualified, right, status came out. You had to meet specific criteria to determine if you were highly qualified. One was taking a test, one was putting together a portfolio of your work, and another one was achieving national board certification. Now, personally for me, let me come back here so I can explain this. Personally for me, I knew I could take a test, but I didn't really feel that that was going to demonstrate my proficiency, my expertise as an educator. I knew I could put together a portfolio, right? Because I've had a lot of different coursework and I could put that together to turn it in and to demonstrate my proficiency as an educator. However, I chose to go the national board route because I knew that there were some rigorous standards and I had to prove through the portfolio that I submitted and through video that I submitted that I was in fact an expert in the work that I do. And I had to present that. So it was a long year, right? About 400 hours. And I had to put together this portfolio and I turned it in. Whew, that was the day when we actually went to the FedEx and we, here's our box and just a lot of, oh gosh, kind of like giving away something you worked so hard on. It was tough. Nowadays it's just submitting online, which is way easier. But that's what I wanted to do to prove to myself that I was that expert teacher. So that was my professional award. And then after that, I seeked my master degree. And then finally, I earned my doctorate degree. And I always had that stretch goal, always looking and pursuing what is it that I can do to be a better teacher. Already know that I spent more than 20, about 27 years, 28 years in the classroom, the gen ed classroom. And then I moved into my current position as an English language instructional specialist. So for me, that was a stretch goal. But we're kind of coming out of COVID, and there's some things that I know I can do better. So now I'm working on setting that next stretch goal. Actually, I'm not quite certain what it's going to be, but it have to be basically moving out of the position that I currently have into something else. So this business, this organization that I'm creating with the Blue Ribbon Teacher, is in a way that stretch goal, because I want to be able to impact other teachers and parents, other educators, right, around the nation, around the globe, and helping them to become the best educator that they can be, that blue ribbon teacher, hence the name of my business, Blue Ribbon Teacher. So, that really is a stretch goal for me, because I want to make an impact not only on the work that I do in my school district, but also an impact others nationwide, and so that's something that I'm really, really passionate about. And that's my stretch goal, is to do that. So I appreciate that you are entrusting me with your opportunities to learn and to develop your own professional expertise. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue looking at DeFor's things here. So maybe your school, maybe you want to seek out some kind of professional award. And then another one, the next fourth one, is to begin every school year with a review of the accomplishments of the previous year and a reminder of the commitments that were instrumental in those accomplishments. So they said that our focus was not on what was to be new in the coming year, but rather a recommitment to the purpose, the priorities, that vision, right? The processes that are key in the culture, so that way nothing deteriorates. You continue working towards the goal and achieving and moving. And then Rick DeFore is, bless his heart, he is a person who loves to celebrate. And that's something I love to do when I worked with my students, as I shared before. In the classroom, I'd always hold celebrations, because it was important for me, for the students to feel that excitement, to feel that how valuable they are, that their hard work was worth something, and that I was able to recognize them, their peers could recognize them. It was something that parents, families were invited to, and they could also recognize all the students. So he suggests that we celebrate it at every faculty meeting. And then, of course, three times throughout the year, have the bigger celebrations, right? We called attention to individuals and teams that demonstrated a commitment to continuous improvement. And I don't know how you start your staff meetings, but how we start our work is, what are some good things? What are some great things going on, so that we can celebrate those? And that's a part of that, celebrating at every faculty meeting. So they could just be little things, whether it's personal or professional. Okay. So I want you to think about the culture in your school. Think about it as a garden. And if you do not attend to that garden, what happens? Weeds come, and weeds overtake everything, right? So, in order to continue developing the school, developing that classroom, developing that culture, developing that excellence in education, you need to make certain that you do not develop you do not just sit back and think that everything's okay and you're smooth sailing, right? Because you never know when that storm is going to come. But you need to ensure that you are continually working towards a goal, those stretch goals. When you're not, then entropy is definitely going to set in. And then unfortunately, it could take all of the hard work that we've been doing and just turn it the other way. Okay. So some thoughts there. So what I want you to do is to take a moment to respond to Rick's 5 strategies, those that I just shared. What are you and your colleagues doing right now, this week, this month, at this very moment, to tend to your risk-taking culture, to tend to your garden, and to avoid the entropy choking weeds that may want to take over? And then finally, I want you to answer these test questions, yes or no. That's it. You can do it right on your paper now. And briefly explain the reasons for your answer. You are drifting into entropy, where you don't want to be, when you have a tendency towards superficiality, have tension with colleagues, no longer know your story, why you are a professional educator, tend to be a problem maker and not a problem solver, do not want the problem solved, seek to control rather than collaborate, speak of your students as an imposition on your time, lose grace and civility with others, demonstrate a loss of confidence in your own judgment and wisdom, and forget that vision, what you are trying to become, can never be separated from risk, the actions it will take to get there. All right, my friends. So there you go. Some lots of great golden nuggets, as I call them, for us to be thinking about as we are continuing to reflect upon our work and to build that heart print that we want to leave on our students, our families, our colleagues every single day. All right, my friends, I hope that you have an opportunity to really journal and really engage in some deep reflection about this. Remember, we want to avoid that entropy, right? We want to build up on our strengths, and we also want to ensure that, I'm looking at this chapter before, yes, that we have a growth mindset. Go take that test if you haven't been able to do that. And actually, we're going to go into those final thoughts right now. So I was thinking I was done, but that was the end of the chapter, right? Now we're going to go into those final thoughts. So let's go back to our slides. All right, so here we are moving on to those final thoughts that the author has. Now, if not when, right? So that's the question. If you're not going to do something now, when? When will you do it? So the author shares a quote by John Cotter. What is the single biggest error people make when they try to change? They did not create enough of a sense of urgency. Like I said, if not now, when? Okay, whenever the author is talking about urgency, he calls us to have that sense of urgency. What is urgency? It's to take risks for improved student learning. Urgency for outcomes with greater student access and opportunity. Urgency to take focused risks and action that advance the vision for our work, and urgency to erase inequities caused by isolated decision making from our colleagues. Remember, our whole purpose is to erase those iniquities by working together, by ensuring that our heart print is one that is full and that is powerful, and we can leave with every single student. Okay, the author goes and talks about urgency, if not now, when. And sometimes people have that false sense of urgency. Now, those with a false sense of urgency behave in ways that can easily be mistaken for people with a real sense of urgency, because they are very active. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're calling this person, they're visiting that person, they're doing all of these little things. But in the end, they haven't really made any effort to reach to their goal. It's run, meet, talk, defend, and go home. And the person is absolutely exhausted. Is that you? Are you absolutely exhausted because you have that false sense of urgency, right? One of the things that I have learned as a business person, and as an educator, but is that if I don't know the answer, it's okay. I can tell my students or my colleagues, it's okay. I'll find that out, or let me think on that question and I'll get back to you. Okay. So those are important things to do. All right. There's a couple of other things that I want to share. So, in order to continue that sense of urgency, right, is to give professional work life a deeper meaning. Some things that you can do is stay connected to small wins along the way. Celebrate those small wins, which is why Rick DeFore has celebrating is important to do. And stay connected to risk-taking behaviors and actions focused on the shared vision of your work. Stay connected to those risk-taking behaviors, those actions that are focused on that shared vision that you have with your colleagues. Okay, so the author closes with this. In the PLC, professional learning community, the L means learning is forever. Okay, a growth mindset is about accepting that we can increase our talent as professionals, as teachers, leaders forever. We can learn and get better forever. Our career learning path never stops. These are actions of your risk-taking heart print that illustrate you have all become wiser. All right, my friends. So, with that, now what I'd like to do is to go ahead and wrap this up. So, again, go ahead and take some time to think about your teaching context, the organization that you're in, and reflect up on the urgency, right? Reflect up on, if not now, when, and make certain that it's not a false sense of urgency. All right, because when it's a false sense of urgency, we are just exhausted, we are just doggy paddling, and we are not getting anywhere. Okay. All right, my friends. So that's going to wrap us up for today. We are done with part 4. And again, part 4 was focusing on risk. Now we're going to go into the very last component of the heart print: happiness, engagement, alliances, risk, and the last one is thought. And we're going to look at thought. All right, and what does thought represent over this next 6-7 chapters that we have. All right, until we meet again, I hope that you have a blessed day and take care. Bye bye.